How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael Sicoli. I'm a staff writer with IDP Guys, and I'm here to talk to you guys about Dynasty Fantasy Football.
What is Dynasty Fantasy Football?
It's a fair question. It's something that you have to, get into as you love fantasy football a little bit more. It's something where you draft once, and that's it. You keep that team year after year. You only draft rookies, and then as of anything else, you're just rocking that team. It's a lot of trades, a lot of deep waiver wire dives, and all that. So I recently wrote an article for IDP Guys right on the website. You can check it out, link in the description, about the 5 mistakes you should try to avoid when going through your Dynasty startup. The first rule, don't overvalue running backs. Now, while they may be the crown jewel of a redraft where you want the Jonathan Taylors of the world, and you still want those guys, but running backs have such a short shelf life in Dynasty where the turnover is just insane. Only 2 running backs have been in the top 24 every year since 2017. If you compare that to wide receivers, there's been 4. It's quite literally double that. And Mike Evans and Devontae Adams, the two of those 4 names on the list, have done it since 2014 and 2016, respectively. You can get PPR value, you can get handcuffs that can provide good week-to-week value while still being able to maintain good long-term value. Now, it's not a bad thing at all to own a good running back. In fact, Jonathan Taylors is still going top of the first round, absolutely. But you should still be targeting the young wide receivers, even the Kyle Pitts of the world, those rare tight end young bucks, instead of going for the young running backs because they're just not going to last. You get similar production from those wide receivers that will span multiple years as opposed to just 1 to 3 on average for running backs. Number 2 can be applied to life just as much as it's applied to Dynasty Fantasy Football. You don't want blind confidence. Be real about where you're at with your roster. Realize that it's okay. Just take a step back and say, this roster is not ready to win. It's not like redraft where every year needs to bring home a championship. Sometimes taking a step back, acquiring some picks, getting some young talent, offloading those veterans that have been tried and true, say Ezekiel Elliott to the contender, or even an Adam Thielen, a receiver that's getting up there in age but still holds day-to-day value. In week 5, that guy's going to still be holding a lot of value to those contenders that won't be relevant to you. Embrace losing without, tanking, because you still want to give your best effort. But bring down your roster, acquire picks. That 2023 class is very well worth rebuilding around. It's good to be ahead of the game and acquire those picks right now, especially as we are still as hyped as we could reasonably be for this 2022 class. Rule number 3 regards fading age. You don't want, to an extent. Yes, I mentioned the value of young running backs in terms of young wide receivers. In terms of you always want young aspects in Dynasty. They span the longest. You have more run. You have higher potential rather than players that you've already seen what they are. But a lot of times those veterans are the guys that are going to bring home those championships. Julio Jones was a popular buy for me a couple of years ago. I spent multiple first-round picks. I sent Rashad Penny before the ACL injury. And I got Julio Jones, and that was somebody that led me to a championship. Now, Julio Jones might not be anything, but ultimately he held top 5 value at the time, and it got me a championship. When you are close to contending, or even if you are contending, no need to play for the future. Go and win. Rule number 4, don't draft for need in the rookie draft. This is a common mistake that a lot of people make where you look at your lineup and say, wow, I need a running back. Dang, let me go draft CEH at number 1 overall. While there's a lot of reasoning that went into that it makes sense, the Chiefs being one of the top scoring offenses, that's a pick that ultimately didn't land out. And that doesn't just apply for running backs. Wide receivers, Mecole Hardman, wow. All of a sudden, he's also on the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill replacement. That hasn't worked out because he wasn't a good prospect going into it. On the same level, DeAndre Swift was knocked down a couple spots because of his landing spot with the Lions, despite him being a terrific prospect. Sometimes you have to realize that, yes, some things did not happen how you wanted it to, but they're still the players that you thought they were going to be. So drafting for need is a good way to not get the value you want because that Dynasty roster, there's a lot of turnover there. And ultimately, you're trying to get talent. And my final tip, number 5, know your league. It's very simple. Look through your rosters. Look through the owners. Is there a Jet fan that is sweating over Elijah Moore? And I love Elijah Moore, but if I can get a boatload for him, no player is untradeable. You have to look and reevaluate your league. Know your settings. Know if there are bonuses that will benefit certain players as opposed to others. Is it 6 points for a passing touchdown or is it 4 points for a passing touchdown? If it's 4, then maybe I'm targeting a little bit more of a rushing quarterback. If it's 6, then I'm kind of fine with a pocket passer. Tom Brady, to the tune of not fading age. Tom Brady might be a great buy in 6-point passing touchdown leagues for a contender looking for a 1-year window. Know your league, target the owners that will give you the best prices one way or another, and that is how you avoid making mistakes in your Dynasty startup. Thank you guys for watching. You can follow me at Michaels__Sicoli on Twitter. I highly encourage you to follow IDP guys across all platforms. Obviously, you're here. So hit that subscribe, follow on Twitter, and check us out at idpguys.org.